I can can you hear me?
Yeah, not quite good, but still can.
Okay, just tell me if there are some problems so that I can adjust my volume or I can change my internet connection. So, before that, good evening and how are you today?
I don't think well today. I don't know. I'm just a bit tired.
Just a bit tired. I got it. So, of course, weekend is coming. So, do you have any plans for the weekend?
Oh, no, not yet. I mean, I'm on to spend her day. Yes.
I got it. So, in that case, I guess we can now begin with our lesson. So, here we'll be doing a mock or a simulation test for you. So, if you are ready, let's begin with the part one. So let's take it easy. So just be comfortable. Don't be nervous. It's just you and me having a practice. Let's begin with part one. The topic will be about home or the area you live in. Do you live in a house or an apartment?
But I actually live in a house. We live in one of the most busiest busiest city in Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh City. But yeah, the house is not so big, but I feel comfy with it.
So why do you live there?
Well, we choose to live in Ho Chi Minh City because um, first, because it's a city, we have more opportunity for our job, and second, since our families is are all in Ho Chi Minh City, so we want to, you know, to stay close.
How is the area surrounding your home like?
Um, I I think my neighborhood, and you mean the environment
Mhm.
around surrounding my house is actually quite friendly. We're having a really nice neighborhood, and they help us sometimes.
So, which part of your living place do you dislike?
I mean, since I love my house, but the room that I dislike will be probably the kitchen, since I don't know how to cook, and it's also quite dirty there.
Mhm. So, will you move home in the near future?
No, I don't think that I will move out in near futures. Since first, because I'm a student, of course, I don't think that I would live away from my parents in at least 5.
So, are there any shops or facilities around there?
Yes, there are some shopping malls and some grocery store in surrounding. It's not too far. It's just only probably 10-minute walking.
Mhm. Hold on for a second. So, are there any supermarkets nearby?
Um, yeah, there is some supermarket nearby. It's not so close, but um, it only takes us like probably 10-minute riding, and That seems convenient enough for us.
What are the changes of surroundings around your living place?
So, wait. Ever since I don't think there's any massive change surrounding my neighborhood. Uh, um, some some house move out, and I got some neighborhood, some new neighborhood, and yeah, that's it.
Got it. So what changes do you think your neighborhood need?
Mm, I won't ask anything more since I love living here, but would be it would be wonderful if a playground for you know for everybody to go for a place so we could do some fun a park maybe.
Okay. And do you have friends living nearby?
Mm, most of my friends live quite far from me. I got a friend that living probably 5 kilometers away. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. And final question, what is your favorite room?
My bedroom. The room that I like the most is my bedroom, since it's my own space, and there's a lot of things I like about it. My bed, my tables, and there's having my own space, and that's good.
Okay, great. So we're done talking about the part one. Those are the questions for the topic about home. But first, we are going to discuss some of the mistakes, grammatical mistakes, of course, and some of the advice and some of the evaluation I'm going to tell you. Okay. Remember, part of your lexical resource would be checking the words you're using from basic words, intermediate words, and highfalutin or advanced words. So repeating words would cause your score to go down. So
Mm-hmm.
like quiet and probably be careful. So that would be your lexical resource. Next, also the repeated filler. Okay. For many students, not just Vietnamese students, but also my Koreans and Chinese students, they love using or like that. Since I know they are thinking, that's okay, but once is enough. But repeating that followed by, so we're also going to remove this. It becomes repetitive. It will affect your score. And also the pauses and hesitations that you have, be sure that you want to give a correct answer. That's okay. I know my students are thinking that's just an advice. Let's move on to part two. Since we're talking about house or home, this will be your part two. So I'll be giving you a minute. Okay, your 1 minute is over. Let's begin.
Well, for my own futures, I hope that I could have an apartment in District 5 in Ho Chi Minh City, since it is a really stunning an apartment. It has everything I need in the whole buildings. There's a lot of facilities and also um and yeah, such as gym, pool, and the whole ecosystem are quite nice. Mm. I want my apartment. I don't want my apartment is a big one, since there would be a lot of people and I want something for my own space. Uh, and as a teenager, I want everything to be really convenient and modern. So I chose to live in an apartment uh, that's having they have a lot of services that would help us to flexify our time and ability and need. Oh, hmm. And if I could, I would love to live with my parents, since I want to close with my families, and that would be kind of lonely when you're living alone. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Okay, so you tried to complete everything. So where it is, where it would be, what you would like to do there, who would you like to live there? Okay, so first I'll be sending to you the grammatical mistakes or the grammar lapses so that we can discuss. Later on, let's go back to the grammar lapses for part one. Okay, so here we go. It have everything I need.
Oh, oh yeah, it has.
Okay. Now, how to correct it? It means that you know the grammar rules. You just need to be careful about it. There's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There are, since you've mentioned some establishments or facilities. I don't want my apartment is a big one. Okay, or maybe I don't want a big apartment, or you can say I want a medium sized apartment. So if
Mm-hmm.
it's not a big one, then maybe a medium sized. I want everything to be convenience.
Mm-hmm.
Convenience is a noun. We
Oh,
need an adjective form to complete it.
convenient.
Convenient. That's true. So I want to live in an apartment. They have a lot of service.
Hmm. Which house? Which
Okay, I want to live in an apartment which
has?
has, I want to live in an apartment complex. We can also add complex,
Oh,
which has a lot of services. So, okay, now since Quinny, you've mentioned about services, like what kind of services would that be?
so things like when you have your problems with your electricities and that
Okay.
someone to help.
Okay, we have electricity service, security service. I think that's also important to you. Electricity service, etc. So you can also mention that to your answer. I want to close with my family.
I want to be close.
Closer with my family. Because if you're not going to use closer, it means now you're not close to any of your family members. So closer would be a better one.
Hmm.
So let's move on to part three. I've got 5 questions for part three. So here's the thing. You are given 45 to 60 seconds to answer. Or that would be 6 to 7 sentences.
Hmm.
Yes. A personal example, let's say, for example, you can think of a possible reason to support your opinion. A personal example would do. Let's begin. Do you think it's better to rent or to buy a place to live in?
And from my own perspective, I think it's better for people to buy a house since owning their own house, meaning everything is under guarantee. And if there's any crisis, for example, like the COVID-19 crisis, and if they lost their job, there would be a home for them to live in.
How easy is it to find a place to live in Vietnam?
I'm living in a big city, so uh, I think it's quite hard for um, for people to find a house or an apartment in city since there's a lot of people. It's populous, and everyone wants to a place to live in. So to find a fine apartment or house is quite difficult, and it takes a lot of time.
Do you agree that there is a right age for young adults to stop living with their parents?
It is a good way for teenagers. No, I don't think for young people to living alone away from their parents because that would help them to major up and so they would know and find a way to manage their own problems.
What options are available to young couples looking for accommodation in Vietnam?
I think they could, um, since they are young couples, they don't have enough finance to buying a house. So the best, recommendation that I could give is that they could rent an apartment or a house a little bit away from the city. It would be much cheaper and affordable.
Okay, hold on for a second. And the final question, what are some of the pleasures involved in making a home for ourselves?
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, a lot of people finding pleasure in decorating their own home, and it's kind of fun. First, because it's kind of fun. Also, that you are making your own home a place that you will live in, a place for your own. So do it by yourself is much better than hire someone to do it for you since you know what you like best.
Okay, so those are the 5 questions for part three. So now I'll be sending to you my evaluation for part three. You did actually do better compared to part one, since the answers are complex that you've given me, and you have a lot of ideas when it comes to those questions. Let's take a look at this. If there is any private, I asked you a while ago for question one, do you think it's better to rent or to buy a place to live in? You've mentioned if there is private, what do you mean?
Um, wait, what are we talking about? The private when?
You mean privacy?
Oh, privacy. In buying a home, an apartment, right? Uh,
Yes.
since we live in a city, so it's populous, and the space we don't really have enough space for ourselves since we're surrounded by people. So it's kind of you know, yeah, it's feel like you. don't really have a space for yourself.
Okay, so that's privacy. And we surrounding people, we are surrounded by people. Just for you to be careful. There is a lot of people. How are we going to correct it?
The people. Only people?
There is and people.
Oh, there is.
There are. We're going
There
to change it to there are. Everyone want a place to live in.
once.
Exactly. So everyone wants. It's because we're talking about subject verb agreement here. To living alone.
To live alone.
Okay. Or in living alone is also possible. Question three actually answered it, but I want your opinion for, do you agree that there is a right age for young adults to stop living with their parents? So here, how do you begin your sentence or your answer?
Is there a right age for young
Yes.
teenagers?
Do you agree? So of course, we have I agree, I partially agree. And the last one is I disagree. You can begin with these templates for that kind of question. Next, a little bit away from the city. We don't actually call it a little bit away from the city. We call it in a suburban area
Huh.
or in the suburbs. So suburbs is a little far from the city center or downtown. Another, a lot of people finding pleasure decorating their house
Fine.
are finding.
Oh.
Yes. So that would be for part three. So I forgot to send to you the mistakes in part one a while ago, so we can go back to that here.
No. What are you doing?
So one of the busiest city in Vietnam. You've mentioned about Ho Chi Minh.
Oh, cities.
Okay. Another subject verb agreement. We choose to live here.
We choose.
Chose. Yes. It was a plan or decision in the past. We having really nice neighborhood.
We are.
We have 10-minute walking.
10 minute work.
Okay. So we don't use the ing here since it would be a noun here. 10-minute riding would
10 minute
be similar to that one. Also, some house move out. Yeah, I
household.
ask you the changes.
Oh yeah. Some household left it.
House, do you think the house will move?
Which one? The families live in. Uh,
Oh,
Hmm.
okay. Yes. Some families moved out. Moved out in their houses like that. I got a friend living 5 kilometers away.
I have.
I got or I have would be possible.
Yeah, but we. Yeah.
Would that be in the past? So if it's in the past, then let's use I have. If it's at the present, I have a friend living 5 kilometers away from my house. There's a lot of things I like about it.
There's are.
There are. Yes. So you just need to be careful with these grammar mistakes. Sometimes they are confusing, but once you are careful about it, it will become a habit that you're very careful. It means you won't be able to commit them again. We're done with the first practice. Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, so later on I'll be giving you a score because I need to calculate everything. So if we are going to count, there are 6, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18. There are at least 22 mistakes. Okay, so our goal for today is to lessen the grammar lapses or none at all. So, when you are, okay, let's try to compare. When you are writing
Mhm.
and speaking, what do you think of your grammar skills for basic grammar skills?
Which I do better when writing.
Yes.
Yeah, writing, of course.
Okay, so in your case, that's writing. So you can do it in writing better, but why not in speaking? Can you give me some troubles or difficulties you are encountering or you encountered so that I can give you some
I just don't really mind it. So,
help?
hmm,
Okay, so you just don't mind it because you don't have time to think about it, right?
yeah.
Okay. So another question I forgot to ask you this yesterday. When do you plan to take the exam?
Oh, um, I'm not in rush, so probably a years later. I can't tell.
Late. Okay, so what's your purpose or reason in taking the examination? Would that be for university, going to another country?
Actually, my university, yeah, requires to having an IELTS certificate.
Okay, an IELTS certificate. So is it a local university or international university?
They both requiring it. I don't know why.
Okay, I got the point already. Why there are a lot of students taking this
Mm,
test.
like, don't they do the same thing in your country?
I'm sorry?
Like, don't the university requiring IELTS in in your country?
No, since English is our official language,
Oh,
so they do not require it.
that's
It
good.
is only required for some workers who want to study, live, or work in another country, but not most of the time. Just like 30% of the people who are planning to go to another country, English-speaking countries.
So okay, that's nice.
So that's why we are your teachers since we use the language too. Okay, so this is now your second practice. I found more interesting topics for you. Easier, more interesting since you're a student. Let's begin with the topic about scenery. First question. Are there any scenic spots or scenic places near where you live?
Like, dinner. Oh, like I'm learning. Not really much. Well, again, I'm living in a city, so I won't say there's any scenery, view, or places, like scenic places around, surrounding, or close.
Mhm. Are there any good views in your hometown?
Mm, my hometown is a mountainous city, so there are some scenic view, like you can see the mountains.
Okay. What kinds of places are considered beautiful?
Um, um, to me, a place would be considered pretty when oh, They're having buildings, modern buildings, and trees. Hmm.
When you are on a trip, would you choose a room with a beautiful view?
When I when I go on a vacation, I would, if I can, I will choose a room with a scenic views. Hmm.
Do you like taking pictures when you see, oh, sorry. Do people like taking pictures when they see beautiful places?
Yes, they do. Since they want to captures the whole scenic views, and everyone want to everyone likes the beauty things, beautiful
Okay.
things. Yeah.
And are there scenic places in cities?
No, there are none. I don't think there's are any scenic view, beauty scenic view places in the city.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, hold on a sec. We're going to discuss this one. Okay, so for questions one and two, you actually answered it. However, when we had question three until question six, I'm not sure if it was a mental block, but what kinds of places are considered beautiful? There were no enough details since you've only mentioned about buildings, modern
Mm,
buildings, and trees.
I know. I don't really consider a scenic beauty. Like,
So what kinds of places are beautiful? So it can be first a natural, historical,
mm,
modern, pristine. So you can choose and explain to me.
what do you mean by Kristen?
This is a place that is untouched.
Mm,
So it is still like that from the beginning. So
mm,
people just look at it. They don't build buildings. There are some activities, but it stays like that. They do not destroy it. It's a natural one. So if you're going to answer what kinds of places are considered beautiful, how are you going to give me a better answer with reasons and details?
mm. Yeah, I'm sure. Wait, what? Do I have to answer now?
Yes. Or if you're not yet sure of an answer, let's move to the question four. When you are on a trip, would you choose a room with a beautiful view? Just an opinion. If you can and if you have time, you would. But what about the reasons and details? It was missing. They were missing.
Um, hmm. Okay. Oh, and I thought that in part one we only answered probably two sentences.
3 to 5 sentences.
Oh, that much. I didn't.
Yes. It depends on the question. There are questions that requires you like what's your major
Hmm.
or what's your name? Where do you study? Are you a student or a worker? It requires somehow 1 to 2 sentences, but for this, at least 5 sentences would give you a better chance in getting a better score.
Hmm. Okay.
So, how are you going to answer question four? When you're on a trip, would you choose a room with with a beautiful view?
Well, yes. If I can, I would choose a room with a beautiful view, since I was on a vacation, so I would seek for relaxations, and beautiful view will help me, and I would probably enjoying my vacation more.
Okay, you will probably enjoy a vacation. Of course, for some people whose life is like social media, Okay. So there are some people like me and my peers or my friends, we love choosing a place where there is a beautiful view because we can share, we can capture and share the moments on our Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook accounts. So this is one of the reasons why we choose this place because it will become a part of our memory. Let's have the fifth question. Do people like taking pictures when they see beautiful places? You've mentioned it's yes, because people like beautiful places. However, are there other reasons, like you? Why do you take a picture?
So that I could show to my parents and talk about my trip.
Exactly. So some people they will save the photo and after a few years they can look at it, look at the moment they were in that place. It's a kind of adventure for all of us. And the final one, are there scenic places in cities? You said just no, there are none.
Like I don't know which something else. Should I say how? Like there is none.
Maybe you can say there would be a yes, there would be a no, there would be a maybe. It depends on the city.
No, nothing.
Because, for example, in my hometown, it's a coastal city.
Oh.
So I see a lot of I saw a lot of foreigners, beach, mountains, like that. Now I'm living in a mountainous city. So when I go out and watch the sunset, I will see other mountains, which is really beautiful. There are birds flying. The sunset is pastel in color. So for me, the answer would be yes, if it's in my opinion. What about you? If no, could you give me some reasons why?
Hmm. I don't know, really. Maybe just a
Yes, we can use maybe, and then you can use a personal example that would be using Ho Chi Minh. This one. Yes. So let's try it. Are there scenic places in cities?
maybe no. From my own perspective, I'm living in Ho Chi Minh City, and there are anything um with scenic with, with scenic view in my city, since it's a big city and we need space for houses, and that's it.
Okay. So to support the opinion, since it's a no, there are high-rise buildings in Ho Chi Minh. There are numerous establishments, and you won't see some mountains, maybe, or others. So you can use these reasons to support it.
Okay.
Let's move to the final one. The final one was what kinds of places are considered beautiful?
Like, so far, there isn't any places really that were that really interested me at all. So,
Or maybe things that you've seen on TV, on movies, on social media that you considered beautiful.
not really. Hmm. I'm still thinking about it, but I don't know. Not yet.
So let's say, for example, One, I forgot. It's a place in Vietnam, but I forgot. I'll just use Da Nang. Okay,
Uh,
this place, when I saw it while watching a reality show, I considered it beautiful. Also, the Eiffel Tower in Paris, I considered this is majestic, grand, and really beautiful. So you can use an example too.
mm,
So we're finally done with part one. Let's move on to the final part for tonight. That is part two. Here is your topic card or cue card. Describe a crowded place you've been to.
oh, kind of place. Well, I live in it.
Since you're living in a busy city, that wouldn't be a difficult one. I'll give you a minute.
Hmm.
And your 1 minute is over. Let's begin.
So I've been to the central. I've been to District One, the central of the Ho Chi Minh City where I live in. I went there because it was New Year. It was Tet holidays, and we usually just we usually just go to the District One to celebrate our Lunar New Year's. Uh, so because this was in a vacation, so everybody went there to having fun and also the fireplace. And in order to serve the ground, there's a lot of restaurant and food stall, which I really love since I'm a foodaholic and uh, foodaholic and I could try out a lot of more food, interesting food. And it would be a really fun place to go when you're going with your friend, since it's a hustle and bustle places, a lot of people and activities to entertain yourself, such as a bookstore, or there's a grand playground for kids and also a sitting place for adults to sit down and just um, sniffing and looking the whole city. That's it.
Okay, got it. Okay, so now we're going to talk. I love the words you've used, especially the hustle and bustle. That's actually great. However, there are some things I will try to ask you about your answer. Though you did great, here is the part evaluation. Everybody went there to having fun.
Um, hmm. Um, no. Huh.
There is one word that you need to change to its base form to make it correct.
Two.
To having fun would be to have fun.
Oh, to have fun.
Yes. So also you can use a better word to entertain themselves.
Mm.
Entertain themselves, since that's what we do. There is a lot of restaurant.
There's are a lot of restaurants.
Okay, there are a lot of restos or restaurants. I'm a foodaholic. Foodaholic.
Wait, yeah, maybe I missed that one. Oh,
Okay.
is that
So for
with?
me, foodaholic is actually a brand. There is a brand in Korea, in South Korea, and in my country. So I even checked, since sometimes we use this hashtag foodaholic on Instagram. I used it maybe for 3 years, but I'm sure it's not a word. So we're going to. It's not a word that exists in the dictionary. I think I am a foodie.
Mm, okay.
I can try out interesting food. Grammatically, it's correct, but there's a way to make it better.
Help me on.
Okay, let's use I can try delectable,
Hmm,
delicious,
okay.
palatable, cuisines, or cuisine.
Okay.
Cuisine would be the food. Maybe it can be American cuisine, Vietnamese cuisine, Korean
Mm,
cuisine, Japanese cuisine. When you're going out with your friends. So there is fun when you're going out with your friends. What's the mistake here?
when you go with your
So when you hang out, let's use another word. When you hang out with your friends, that would be, those are the mistakes for that part. Since we still have time, let's only answer one part three. Why do a lot of people enjoy going to crowded places?
well, I'm not the one who's interesting in crowded place, but my friend is. So she said me that she like populous places because it's crowded and it feel like I don't know. It feel like you are mixing to the crowds and it feel beautiful some way.
So, yes, it's actually easy to find your social identity. So, if you're a sociable person, they love going to this one because they feel a positive energy when they go to the crowd. Also, they can meet people, have a conversation with them.
Mhm.
So that's one of those are some of the reasons. And finally, this is your mistake. I'm not the one who is interested in crowded places.
Another one.
I'm not a person who is interested
Mhm.
in crowded places. So we're finally done with those questions for parts 1 to 3. Do you have any questions?
I don't.
Actually, you did better compared to yesterday. This is what I like. Though there are some problems with the grammar lapses, you still tried your best to use phrases, good phrases,
Mhm.
words. However, always remember I always need the reasons and details of your answer.
Mhm. Okay.
So if there are no more questions, that would be all for this evening.
That's
So have fun and good night.
yeah.
Bye.
Have a good night.